How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Ultimate Gaming Realm. And this is your host and creator, Dixon, logging on. And Night Dive pulled it off again with another remaster. And I was just talking about this game about a week and a half ago when I was actually playing a mod in Doom. Yes, Heretic and Hexen bundled together in a re-release 3 days ago, released on the same day they announced it, just like they did for Doom 1 and Doom 2 last year, and once again done by Night Dive Studios, and this remaster uses the Hex engine. And what's really interesting about this remaster, just like Doom 1 and Doom 2, what's really interesting about the Hex and Heretic Remastered, they got the same treatment as they did for Doom 1 and Doom 2 all around. Featuring the remastered soundtrack by Andrew Holschultz, like from Doom 1 and Doom 2, which the soundtrack is also optional if you want to go back to the original MIDI soundtrack back in the day. Plus, like any other HD remaster, this remaster also has 4K HD rendered resolution, and the visuals all around look beautiful. Here's the next question. And what type of goodies they have to offer for this remaster? Well, the first Heretic game, which was Shadows of the Serpent Riders, which is actually the complete Heretic game, and then the arguable sequel, Hexen Beyond Heretic, plus the standalone expansion for Hexen, and they also added 2 brand new games to it, or episodes, one for Heretic and one for Hexen. Plus, you can also download community mods like you can with Doom 1 and Doom 2, which is also badass. A lot more content to offer, like they did with Doom 1 and Doom 2. And I played the shit out of both of the games so far. Well, mainly Heretic, because I wanted to get through it, but I was playing a little bit of Hexen just to get a little comparison, and they look better than ever. Now, Heretic and Hexen back in the day were developed by Raven Software and published by id Software. So Raven Software was also behind developing those games, as well as developing a lot of other first-person shooter games like Cyclones or Soldier of Fortune or Quake 4, etc. Both Heretic and Hexen did use the advanced Doom engine, except the Doom engine for Hexen is more advanced. Pretty much Heretic was pretty much a clone of Doom almost. And Heretic is pretty much like levels to levels, episode to episode, which had 5 episodes altogether. And Hexen was more like a non-linear backtracking type of game, almost like Power Slave was. And there's also a Hexen 2 game, but of course it's not included in the bundle because that one didn't use a Doom engine, that one used the Quake engine. And there was also an actual sequel to Heretic, with Heretic 2, which also used the Quake engine, but that one's a third-person adventure. But Heretic 2 is the only one that's abandonware, so it's not available on digital distribution. Now, to be on the level here, I can't really compare much of the originals to the remasters, because I don't remember a whole lot about them, though, because I've been playing the Doom games a lot more since they actually had the remaster ones keep getting released, and plus there's many versions of it. And these days, I don't use the old controls I'm not used to using the old controls, the arrow keys and all that these days. That's why I was hoping for remasters. I do love old games, but I do prefer updated ones with updated controls for modern schemes, as well as being remastered. However, time to time, I was playing a little bit of Heretic and Hexen using the GZ Doom mods, which has advanced HD textures and modern controls, which is definitely helpful and makes me feel like I'm playing a remaster. But since they actually released an official remaster 3 days ago, I don't have to worry about going back to those versions anymore. After all those years, those games were ignored. But finally, they came back to life in a remaster form, as they should have been. And give them time, they'll do the same with the Hexen 2 and maybe Heretic 2. And hopefully they can do it with Wolfenstein 3D by adding both the original PC port and the Mac port together, as well as the console ports and the expansion Spear of Destiny. That'll be awesome if they can do an actual remaster port of Return to Castle Wolfenstein, but except add the Xbox version to it, which had the prequel levels and more enemies. That would be a grand slam there. And it'll be nice for them to do a Doom 3 remaster along with Quake 4 remaster. It would also be awesome if Night Dive Studios can get the rights for Duke Nukem. I would rather have the franchise being entrusted in their hands than have it entrusted in Gearbox's hands, I'll tell you that. Okay, now I'm getting a little ahead of myself as usual. Let's talk about Hexen and Heretic. What are my memories and what are my discoveries of the games? Well, pretty much I heard my friend, of course you know me, I was limited to consoles back in the 90s. But my friend actually went over to his friend's house and played Doom and Wolfenstein as well as Heretic. Of course, Heretic never did got a console release, but I seen previews in the magazines of it and it looked pretty badass. However, unlike Heretic, Hexen did get a console release for the PlayStation, the Saturn, and later on the Nintendo 64. And I did play those ones a little bit, and I had fun with them. Don't remember too much about the console ports of those ones, except from what I heard, the CD-ROM console ports had cutscenes that the PC version didn't had. At least they added something original for those ones. And of course, the Nintendo 64 version actually had a off-screen, split-screen multiplayer, cooperative, or versus, just like they did with many others on the Nintendo 64 consoles that had Nintendo 64 ports first-person shooter games. And of course, those were my memories of the Hexen, of how I got into it. Though I didn't really get too much into them because first-person shooter games I was getting a little tired of at the time. But got back years later. I played Hexen. Now I played Heretic for the first time in the late zeros when Steam and digital distribution started coming around. And I also played the PC port of Hexen for the first time. I actually had a blasted time playing both of them for the first time. I went through the whole game of the Heretic, and of course I didn't have too much memories of them though, because I didn't want to go back with the old controls though, since I was more used to modern controls for remasters and games and all that, and modern games for all that. So I prefer pretty much, since the remasters were getting bigger, or modifications were getting bigger, I mainly prefer good remaster ports the most that use modern controllers. Even though old games do have updated controls, so I prefer using the updated controls more. Now, things got a lot better for both Heretic and Hexen for modern day purposes, all around. And so far, I enjoy playing the shit out of the remasters by far. And they don't have a lot to offer in the community mods yet, though, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do have. Plus, featured mods that are pretty much favorable to, like, Bethesda or id. I'm looking forward to seeing those ones, which they actually have two right now, which is fine. But hopefully they will add more. And as far as the multiplayer experiences, I can't really answer for that because I don't do multiplayer stuff, but I'm glad they have that option, and I believe it's cross-platform. And as far as comparing the original versions to the remasters, I can't really do much of it, though, because I don't have much memories on either Hexen or Heretic, since I didn't play them as much as I did for the Doom games. But however, I'm pretty sure the remaster versions are the way to go nowadays. And this may not be an in-depth review for both Heretic or Hexen. I'm just giving you my thoughts on the remasters. And if you have all the Heretic and Hexen games, either on GOG or Steam, or both, you get the updated versions for free, which saves you $15. Of course, it won't work on the console since they don't have console releases. But I'm glad they released them on consoles, especially Heretic for the first time, and plus they got a better version of Hexen. Interesting thing about the remastered version of Hexen this time, they actually had the CD-ROM, console CD-ROM cutscenes in it. These remasters by far kick ass. And for $15, if you didn't get it for free on Good Old Games or Steam since you didn't have the originals, or if you want to get on consoles, I would highly recommend it for $15. Especially you're getting a lot more for the bang of the buck. Thank you all very much for watching, everyone. This is Dixon of the Ultimate Gamer. I'm logging off.